The key in yoga therapy is consistency. And this is until the end of your life, right? I'm planning to be a yoga therapist until the end of my life, since I'm super passionate, and it fulfills me so when I can help people in a way where they are happy for themselves.
Hello, I'm Dr. Wendy Myers. Welcome to the Myers Detox podcast. Today on the show, I wanted to have my friend Doris Puehringer. She's an expert in yoga therapy. She has a master's degree in yoga therapy, and her popular weekly online yoga therapy classes attract attendees from over 30 countries around the world. She frequently addresses medical gatherings and retreats, sharing her unique approach. And as a professional yoga therapist, Doris has worked with hundreds of people to overcome neurological, psychological, and physiological disorders. And using her approach, Doris also teaches men and women how to transform themselves deeply and live healthy, disease-free lives. She's going to be talking about using yoga therapy to reduce stress and to tone the vagus nerve. We're going to talk about the differences between regular yoga, the different styles of yoga, and yoga therapy, and how you can use yoga therapy to address pain issues, to address neurological issues, nerve issues, anxiety, depression, and really use it as a therapy. And Doris worked for over a decade with an actual MD neurologist with all of his patients. Doris also has a free class that you can take at dorisyogatherapy.com/Myers-Detox. You can check that out. Lots of great info on the show today. Doris, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Wendy, for inviting me to your podcast. And I'm admiring how you serve your clients, and I'm very excited to be on your show.
Yes, so you're an expert on yoga therapy. And so I wanted to have you come on because I love yoga, but there's a lot of distinctions to be made between yoga and yoga therapy. These are very, very different. So explain to us what that is and what got you so into it. And, you got a master's degree in this, and just explain that a little.
How I got into yoga therapy, it started with me when I was a small child. My grandmother, from where I was raised in Austria, introduced yoga to me. And then it was yoga in that matter, since she went to India on a 2-month trip. And when she came back, she told my brother and me what yoga is. And as we all know, yoga is a 5,000-year-old lifestyle approach, physical and mentally and spiritually. And she sat us kids down and she taught us first the poses, and then she said it's a lifestyle. So that doesn't only involve poses, it's breathing, it's what you eat, how you live, your daily life, and all this and so on. And I was very fortunate through her that she told me all this. So when I got into it, really, I actually in the yoga therapy, first it is the yoga, right? And then with the yoga therapy, it came to me quite a while ago. I was here in Los Angeles, an art director, and this was very stressful job for me. I was very stressed out. I was basically every day in a fight and flight situation. And then on top of it, I was also diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So that changed my whole life. And I thought, okay, I have to do something about it. Forget that job. It's not worth it. And I started to be a yoga teacher. And that, quite honestly, didn't satisfy me either, since it was great, all these different styles, what you can try out in the Western world. And but I wanted to go a little bit deeper and with more knowledge. So I went to Marymount University and studied for 3 years yoga therapy. And that really satisfied me, I have to say. And the biggest luck what I actually had was working with a neurologist immediately. Even as I was still at university, I got that offer to have an interview with that neurologist, and we paired up together and we created that Western Eastern approach. Was very fortunate that a Western MD took me under his umbrella and under his wing, yeah. And so that's how all yoga therapy started for me. And that's what I'm doing like very passionately for like almost like 16, 17 years. That's how I started with yoga therapy. Now, the difference between yoga and yoga therapy, I mentioned it already a little bit. The yoga in Western world, there's different styles. That's like Vinyasa, Hatha, Ashtanga, Bikram, Hatha yoga, power yoga, all these yoga styles. And it's all great and it's wonderful. Everybody has to practice different styles.
Except for hot yoga. I hate hot yoga. I want to die. I
Me
can't
too.
do it.
Me too. So I have to tell you a little story since you're mentioning that. So when I got into this, I tried all these styles out since I was so curious and I wanted to experience all of those. And so I went to Bikram and he was still in town. He got deported out of the country for some other reasons. But anyway, so at that time being, I went to his warehouse where he had like hundreds of people and he had that room heated up, right? It was like hot yoga.
I've been to Bikram too, so it's just unbearable.
It was unbearable. And I totally agree. And we are like sweating and there was the mat on mat. And I'm like looking, oh my God, I don't even know this person next to me. And they're dripping the sweat over to me. So that was like an experience, what I totally agree with you. It's not our cup of tea, right? So yeah, going back to all those styles. And then there's, of course, restorative yoga now. They came with the yin yoga. So the yin and yang concept, the Tao's concept is like the movement is the yang, right? The sun, the moon, the sun, the energy. And the yang is like the moon, the calming, the nurturing. And that's what actually most of the time I provide. And I provide this from young age on to people who are bedridden. So this is an ongoing process. This is like what yoga therapy is about. So yoga therapy is like almost 4,000 years old and originated as well in India. The difference between yoga therapy is, first of all, you need to be a certified, licensed yoga therapist. And for that reason, you need to study anatomy, right? And then ideally, what I was very fortunate, I was practicing for over 10 years with a neurologist in his private office. So we had like almost like 8 to 10 private patients every day. And it was lovely since in the morning when we met, and he had other providers, they're health providers, we met and we talked about our clients, and it was like in confirm, like the Western approach and then the Eastern holistic approach. And the main thing was what happened, and I wish like more doctors would do that in our society now. Some of them, they practice that already, where Western and Eastern is combined on a daily basis with patients, especially when they are in a private practice, and especially with neurologists. Since you are hitting so many different fields of, pain management, neurological issues, major illnesses, and so forth.
So for anyone listening that really wants to detox their body, go to heavymetalsquiz.com. I created a quiz for you. It only takes a couple of seconds. Based on some lifestyle questions, you can get your toxicity score and get a free video series that answers all of your frequently asked questions about how to detox your body. Check it out, heavymetalsquiz.com. It makes sense because yoga therapy helps dramatically to reduce stress and calm the nervous system. It's one of its many benefits. And yes, that's one of the main things people need help with is stress reduction and calming that nervous system, calming that or toning that vagus nerve, etc.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You hit right now the vagus nerve. Like now talking about that, going into like really helping some people. So let's say I specialized, of course, with neurological disorders, and that was involving like pain management, right? And it could be like if people are sitting way too long on the computer or on electronics, right? And they have neck pain, head pain, they have brain fog, this is all related like to also neurological disorders where unfortunate heavy illnesses like ALS or MS, or they get like trauma, like we had to say PTSD, or just like migraines, headaches, all those issues. Fibromyalgia is now coming up really big since people are so stressed out and they don't know how to do little daily tools. And so yoga therapy, the difference between yoga and yoga therapy again is like you go through the waves. Some people, they stay on yoga, they do it for a while and then they fall off the wagon, right? So now with yoga therapy, this is a lifestyle and you want to do this the rest of your life. So that's the difference. Like, and even when you do it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but you want to practice, that's like your change of lifestyle, what you want to create. Just like talking about a little bit like what I experienced with the neurologist, going back to this, it was so beautiful. So we all met and we talked about the patients and then we did our job. And I did like 3 times a week, I got our team together. And before our patients came in, I did with them, with the staff and with my colleagues, we did like breathing techniques and we did like for 10 minutes, like something like just to loosen up, right? Like to loosen up your shoulders or your neck. And they told me where they are very stiff or tight or where they have back pain. And we worked on that. And it was such a beautiful, like, intertwining and staying focused and being there for our clients and our patients, where not like running there and just working on it, where you forget about yourself. Since when you yourself are not in sync and in balance, how can you really perform a good job? Especially in my career, right? I have to always make sure that I'm balanced out and I'm not like all scattered all over, since that happens still to my day.
Yes.
So what then I do, I just like relax myself, right? With certain tools what I use.
Yes. Yeah. And so so you mentioned a few health issues. So what are some of the kind of the main benefits to people doing yoga therapy? So why would people want to do yoga therapy and
Right.
engage in this practice?
Absolutely. Yes. So great question, since that's the main thing, like what people should do, right? Especially when they have health issues. So what I said before with like pain management, that would be more the simplest, right? That would be just like something like they do more exercises, more poses, like a little sequence, what I would put together for them, right? That would be more for pain management. Like also for migraine or headaches, I'm putting also sequences together. And this is all customized since everybody is different. You know, there's so many different kind of migraines, so many different kind of headaches. That's more the pain management. Or fibromyalgia, same thing, right? Now, back pain is huge, and this is not only related structural, it's also related like mentally, right? That's emotionally, when people are really stressing out, that's like an emotional stress, and most likely where it arrives, it's in your head, neck related, right? And when it's an old issue, like let's say you were in an abusive relationship or in your childhood, when we are going back, most likely it arrives in your low back. And that's where you have to focus on hip and low back relaxation poses, and they need to be done again, like probably until you don't feel that pain anymore, right?
When it comes to back issues, I mean, it's for me, it was a combination of stress and relationships, but also tightness at the same time, weakness, where you're tight and you're weak and your core is weak.
Right.
And, yoga, you're strengthening, you're stretching, loosening. It's just so fundamental to prevent and to repair back issues.
Absolutely. And this is huge now in our society, since I was reading an article, what was pretty interesting. We are living in the loneliest time of history. And so why? It's all the electronics, right? It's all like, that's also like the average is basically single, And that is a sad situation when you think about it. Like, and what do? They are sitting from in the morning until not only work related, also then in their private life, they sit in front of their phone or their tablets or computer and just get constantly bombarded, as you know, since you're the expert in it, with the EMF, right? Radiation, what is absolutely like toxic for our body. And that's just like in our society, we need to move, and we can do this in different ways. And that's the tools what I provide as a therapist. My biggest tool what I provide is, in the beginning, what I always do with private clients, for example, I want to evaluate them, since that's my job. I have to assess them in their physical matter and also in their emotional, since I work on both modalities, right? Also on the intellectual, since sometimes people, they need quite some loosening up where they think right, but then they block themselves, right? And so this falls all together as a yoga therapist. That's what I'm working on. So the biggest tool, coming back to that, is like breath work. I'm having lots of different breathing techniques, what I'm working on with people. And I think that gets more and more important in our society, that people would do daily breathing work. That's my biggest one. And then, of course, depends physically what you're going through, right? You have to work the strength, you have to work the balance. Balance is another thing, and I can see that even with very young people. They have vertigo, they have balance issues. That is related again too much, like, you know, they have like all these electronics bombarding them and they lose their balance. And that's a huge issue in our society now, since people are not going out for a walk, just enjoying the nature. And that's what I work a lot, like where people have to focus, coming back to what our ancestors did. They just had no electronics, right? They were like just like working with, when the sun rised, then they got up, they did their thing, and in the evening they had that calming downtime. And so those are all those issues. Now with neurological issues, you are moving into like as I said earlier, MS, ALS, right? Migraine, headaches, those are all neurological issues. I think the main thing is the lifestyle, how you create on a daily basis, regularly, a change in your life. And that's when I'm coming in. And not only with illness, since I have also lots of clients, you know, where they say like, I want to feel better, I want to lose weight, I have sleep apnea. You know, I can't sleep. What do I do? I'm just like up. I'm working on the phone in the middle of the night. My husband is asleep. Meanwhile, I'm like tipsing around on the phone and watching some social media. And I said, oh my God, this is on top of it. She's eating what she shouldn't eat in the middle of the night, right? So those are major criteria what we should eliminate.
I want to give thanks to one of our sponsors, Everbella Collagen, because as women age, collagen depletion becomes a major concern. It was for me, and especially with the hormonal shifts around menopause, when our needs for collagen increases. So notable signs of collagen loss include wrinkles, fine lines, dryness, and loss of skin elasticity, that plumpness, brittle hair and nails, and stiff and painful joints. But when it comes to collagen supplements, there's not a lot of great options out there, because many collagen supplements contain glyphosate and also heavy metals. They're contaminated with things like arsenic. So luckily, I found an incredible collagen supplement. It's free of toxic metals and it tastes like caramel. You can try it today for 30% off. Just go to everbella.com and use code Wendy30. Try today. I love this collagen supplement and highly, highly recommend it. Yeah, so let's talk about the breathing, because that's so fundamental, and, you know, it's so fundamental to calming the vagus nerve and reducing stress. And it's very easy to kind of forget about breath And,
Yes.
I've done yoga for many, many years, and it's, yoga is almost like a breathing meditation where your breath is flowing with the poses and you just feel so relaxed afterwards because of so much deep breathing. So can you take us through a breathing exercise or what you recommend people can do on a daily basis?
First of all, I want to encourage you so you can see all different breathing exercises when you get like kind of confused and you think like, well, what should I do and this and that. So they are basically free on my website and you can stroll down and I have plenty of breathing exercises on it.
Yeah. What is your site again?
It's dorisyogatherapy.com.
Okay, great.
Actually, I want to practice with you a breath work when you don't mind. And this is something what people do even unconsciously since they did this their whole life. And they are probably more calm and more centered and happier and having like this aura around them where you are drawn to them since they don't have like this sad look and they have almost a smile always on their face. That's what I just was teaching the other day in my group class, what I want to tell you too later on. When we think about something, immediately your face changes, right? And when you think about, so let's talk about the happy things and not the sad things. So the happy things is when I'm telling you something what makes you smile, creates happy endorphins, right? And that's what we want to do in our life. And that's what the breath does. The breath is, so when we are going in illnesses, let's say you have asthma or breathing issues, you have allergies, what's a huge thing now in our society now too. Lots of people are going to all these different allergies. There is for every illness, so to say, there is a breath work, what you can do. Now, a basic one would be like the diaphragmatic breathing, the belly breath, what I don't want to explain now since it takes some time, but a very easy one, and maybe you and I will do this together. It's like almost like when you go out and you hear a bumblebee, right? You hear that sound of a bumblebee. That's what we want to create, and that's the humming. And you can do this anywhere to also shift your mindset. And this is it's almost magical. It only works. Every breath work and also certain sequences. Your nervous system needs 6 to 8 weeks until it will read it. So when you say like, oh, Doris, you know what, wonderful. I did it now for today and yesterday, but I don't feel anything. Yeah, well, you need to do it for 6 to 8 weeks every single day until your system will read it. So it takes that time. Breath work, certain poses, certain stretches, certain, if you work on flexibility or strength. So the bumble breath, when we go into it, you just like visualize, you hear a bumblebee, and that's exactly what we do. So I will demonstrate it. So it's just like that. And you can go in different sounds. If it's higher pitched or lower pitched, you can do it longer or you do it shorter. And so we just do it together. What do you think?
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like an om breath, but with your mouth closed.
Right. And so you create, immediately you should feel it. You are creating a vibration in your throat, in your neck, and it's resonating with your ears. So you're engaging your senses, engage your ears, right? The sound. And the sound is one of the most soothing vibrations. Also what you are creating, the highest vibration in our body is the pituitary gland, right? And that's what you're calming down, or that's what you're engaging. Depends. Some people need this is a calming down breath, and you can do this anytime, anywhere, right? There is breathing techniques, what you do, where you need to be energized since people are fatigued, or they have, they want to sleep all day long, right? Then for that reason, or they have brain fog. They need to be switched on, or you have to accomplish something important. You want to do breathing techniques where you get engaged, where you just get moving and shaking, and then you need a breath. So you would obviously not do an energizing breath before you go to bed. The calming breath is the bamboo breath that you can do all day long. And there's, of course, breathing techniques for anxiety, for depression, right? Again, you just have to do it consistently. And some people have to do it. I have some clients, they do it like all day long. They just like close the office and they do it, they put it on a timer and they do it for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Depends. Everybody's different. The key in yoga therapy is consistency. It's not something where you say, and this is until the end of your life, right? I'm planning to be a yoga therapist until the end of my life, since I'm super passionate, and it fulfills me so when I can help people in a way where they are happy for themselves. Since I'm all what I do, I give them the tools. And that's the beauty in it. It's not, I don't make them addicted to me, right? Even so, I have clients there for 15 years with me, but of course, I appreciate and I'm grateful for. But the tools, what I give them is like, they know how to live their daily life from in the morning until the evening.
Yes. And tell us how yoga therapy kind of tones the vagus nerve, because that's so central. I think so many people, their vagus nerve is not working correctly, not connected. We're
Correct.
stressed out. There's so many things that are working against our vagus nerve, which innervates all of our organs and our digestion. And we really need that to be toned and working properly. Tell us how yoga therapy, it can tone the vagus nerve.
Right. So there's, first of all, depends, like some people are more hyper and some people more lethargic, right? I would say like the vagus nerve gets like, first of all, you need to do also meditation. Meditation is a really important, and there's millions of different meditations, I do music meditations. Other people, they need a guided meditation. Some people need to see somebody for meditation. Right there, the vagus nerve needs to be in balance through calmness, right? Once you're jittery, your vagus nerve is already out of balance. And this goes back into like anxiety and panic attacks. The biggest tool what I teach people is like definitely breathing techniques with the vagus nerve. And then there is few poses what I recommend, what I can show right now. But anyway, so that would be related mainly to breath work, and that has to stay on. The vagus nerve will only be in balance in a body when you put the effort towards it, that you practice that daily. That's what is with any kind of like illness what you have, or any kind of like how should I say, when you feel not mood-wise, even the mood, right? The mood even affects the vagus nerve. So it works with like psychological, physiological, emotional, with all those components. Then you're out of balance. And that's what actually happens. When you're out of balance, your vagus nerve is down, your mood is down, your whole system is not as, you don't have that oxygen, as you mentioned before, in your organs. And what happens then over years and years, and you can go on for years like this, but then some organ says, oh, I don't like that anymore. I have to show you this is the sign what I'm giving you, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of so many health issues tied to the vagus nerve, namely digestive issues, poor digestion, poor peristalsis, constipation, just so many different issues related to the vagus nerve, and anxiety and depression and things like that. And so you teach classes online, yes? So what does that look like?
I worked with the neurologist for over 10 years, what I'm super grateful for, and we had a beautiful relationship. And but then when actually COVID-19, the pandemic happened, everything was shut down. And I was very fortunate. I got introduced to Zoom, like online classes. And in a blink of an eye, I had to design a website, what I did. And I started with teaching online privates and group classes. So the private class is what I recommend, and I do this. I always recommend first even just one private classes, and it's all on my website. You can buy packages of one class or of 5 or 10 packages. And I recommend first I need to know somebody, their issues. Even when they are happy as can be, there is always something, unless you are 10 years old, you have most likely no issues, when you have great parents. But otherwise, issues arise in our society when you live in an urban lifestyle. And I recommend that they would teach, they would come to me so I can give them a private class first to know their issues. And then they can sign up for group classes. And I have international all over the world now clients they come to my group classes, and I teach like 3 times a week. And in these 3 times a week, they can, even when they're on different time zones, what I offer, they can be live or when they don't want the camera on, they have the camera off. I have different ones, and they can also do the replay, since I offer them like a 3-day replay, and that's included in the price. So even when you take only one class, for the private, it's more recommendable, like you just start with one, and then you sign up for a group class.
Yeah, you have a great offer for my audience. So you have a free class that you're offering. You can go to Doris yogatherapy.com/Myers-Detox and get a totally free class and just try it out. Highly, highly recommend it. I've done your classes before. I absolutely love them. They're very different. It's a very, very different kind of approach to yoga. I've been doing yoga for over 25 years and I've tried a lot of different kinds, but I like that focus on, doing the positions correctly, the correct breathing, and getting very kind of detailed about the techniques and things like that. I think it's really, really valuable skills because, we live in such a stressful world. We need therapies like this to de-stress. As we get older, we need to work on our balance. 1/3 of falls are fatal in the older populations. No joke. You want to be, for me, I do yoga because I want to work on my balance and maintain my strength and flexibility and all the benefits of that, so that I can live, the good quality of life for as long as possible. And I'm thinking and planning for that. It's not going to just happen by accident.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, not. Yeah. There is no magic pill. It's your own input, right?
Yes. And yoga therapy is part of my strategy. So highly recommend you guys go check out the class. Again, DorisYogaTherapy.com/Myers-Detox. Easy to remember. And so what can someone expect on the class, taking the free class?
Yeah. So on the free class, so what I do in the group classes, I want to tell you, so when you join my group class, I'm working on chakras, and I don't know if people are familiar with chakras. I want to just mention it a little bit. So we have 7 chakras in our body, and I work on different body parts. So the class, I think what I offer as a gift is like the third eye chakra. So this is where our pituitary gland comes in, high intuition, like imagination, right? You're working on that. You work on consciousness. You work on psychic perception, all those things. So that's that class. Every week, I work on a different chakra. So let's say when I work on the first chakra, what's all about the grounding, that's like balance. That's like, can you stand on one leg? Are you falling over? So that's why I'm saying, like, I want to see first, like, where's your balance? What's happening else with you? How are you emotional? Is there anything what you need to release more emotional, or your physical? And so the group class is just like where I'm tuning every single week in with different chakras. I work also on colors, since I think colors are very important and people love that. Since I'm bringing in, for example, when I'm talking about the first chakra, it's red or black. Secondary color is black. So now it's amazing to me, since the people, they all wear the red shirt and the black yoga pants, or any kind of outfit. Again, like my yoga style, people, when it's not like yoga, so to say, I have people, they cannot do any yoga sitting down cross-legged. They have to sit on the chair, or they are bedridden. I have clients, I do private calls also in my city, where I go to people and I do basically physical therapy. So I have to move their limbs, and that's different. And I do the breath work. But the group class is the beauty in it. Every week is different. Even so, when I'm going always to the chakras, and I focus on one chakra in that week. And even when they sign up only for one class or all three classes, depends. Some people want all three classes since they want to get into it, and some only once a week. It's the color. It's like I encourage them what they should eat at that chakra, since that's important too, what they should eat. Some people work with crystals or with certain, it's also related to the color, right? Then, of course, I work with like anything emotional. So that comes into my class. Like when you have no balance, most likely you are insecure, since you cannot stand on one foot unless you have heavy-duty vertigo. That's a different issue, right? But when you cannot stand on one foot and you are in your 30s, there is a big issue. When you are in your 80s, then that's more understandable, right? But there's no excuse that you cannot stand on one leg when you're 80 years old. That's all about yoga therapy, right? So also, like what I want to mention, some people come to me with one issue, and I'm saying now an easy, so to say. This one lady came to me and she had heavy-duty asthma, right? And then we worked on that. And then she said, like, you would not believe what happened since I told you my neck is so stiff, since I'm working like 4 hours on the computer and I'm like not aligned with my neck, right? I'm rotating it out. My shoulder is tight, my chest, I cannot breathe. Then when I get home, my husband drives me crazy. And at that point, I'm just like, I don't know who I am anymore. And that's when her asthma kicked in even more, right? And she had to use the inhaler and all that stuff. So I got her totally off the inhaler, and it took me like 3 months, but in 3 months I got her off. What's a miracle? That's when I worked with the neurologist. We minored medication for heavy-duty illnesses. That's unbelievable, right? Going back to an MD, unbelievable. That was like one of a kind.
I wanted to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, True Energy Skincare. I absolutely am crazy for this skincare line, and it's one of my secret weapons that I've been using for the past couple of years. And not only does the developer, Kathy Goldstein, have so many amazing ingredients in this skincare line, but I love the textures, I love the smell of the line. But more importantly, she infuses over 2,000 frequencies into the skincare line that help to improve collagen, help to reduce wrinkles, help to improve hydration, and give you so many benefits that you can't get with just any old skincare line. Any skincare line is going to hydrate your skin and give you some moisture and things like that. But for me, these days, I'm only using products that have frequencies in them, because you're just not going to get the same results without the frequency infusions and the information that transmits to your skin. So go check out her line and get a special discount when you go to the website, trueenergyskincare.com/Dr. Wendy. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think about using yoga to get off of medication,
Exactly.
You wouldn't think of it as being that powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's very, very fascinating.
Yeah. And then she said, like, also, I don't know, my whole body, my lower hip loosened up. Since she know how to breathing techniques, what I taught her, a few different ones, right? And few specialized sequences. And they don't take long. They take like maybe some of them like 10 minutes. Some, I have a very encouraged client. He just had like back surgery, major back surgery. He's in his 80s. And he says, well, like 10 minutes doesn't cut for me. I need something like really, he was an MD, retired. And he said, I need really something what takes me like at least a half an hour. So I'm zoning out. And then afterwards I feel better. So it's like from 10 minutes to 30 minutes to 40 minutes. It depends how long somebody has time. That would be what you have, that devotion for yourself.
And you can find that time in the day. Like you absolutely can. Like, I have a very structured morning where I take my mornings for myself to start the day out right and de-stress and, have my exercise and have a healthy meal and all the stuff before I'm getting on the phone and the computer and working, et cetera. But like you got to make that space in your day to, create the health and the stress levels and the life that you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole lifestyle, right? Since people, when you join a yoga class and you want to sweat or you want to tone up or you want to be more flexible, that's all good. There's nothing against it. I think this is all great. But at a certain time in your life, you say like, I need a structured lifestyle. So I feel good about myself. I can also encourage my family, my friends, so I'm not running around and blame the world for it. We are our own masters, and that's what that lifestyle comes in. As you said, like you are structured, you have in the morning, you wanna center your nervous system to a level where the frequency is just like calm and not like already like where you're jumping in the shower and you're sliding and you break your leg, right? I mean, all this stuff happens. So also what you eat. And I work also on like how people should eat, when you should eat, and that's also fine-tuned since everybody is different. Some people need more food in the morning. Some people, they have their intermittent fast and they don't need that, right? Then when should you stop to eat? I mean, in general, for like to have longevity, you should not, and I just talked it yesterday, you should not eat later than 5 to 6. This is like an old person who would say, okay, we are going to the 5 and 6 o'clock dinner,
The early bird special.
Yes, exactly. The early bird
I feel like
special.
what I'm eating at 5, I'm having the early bird special. But I know like last night I ate really late and I paid for it. I woke up at 3 a.m., kind of a little bit miserable. And I just like, I know better, but it just happens sometimes. But yeah, you can't eat and go to bed. It just doesn't work.
I mean, on a daily basis, I would say during the week at least, unless you are going out and there's a special occasion, then of course. But otherwise, as you said, eating late, your digestive system has to work, but you want to sleep, right? How can you sleep when you are like all like, just ate in that moment, Another thing is just like how with electronics, people just don't do that. You should have an hour before you go to bed, no electronics, and definitely not in bed. And our young generation, brain tumors, 80% of Americans, teenagers, have brain tumors. 80%. Think about this. Why? Since they have their G5 in their bed or their laptop, and it's on, it's not even on airplane mode. I mean, me personally, for years, I don't have any electronics in my bedroom. None. I mean, there's no need. It's not like, and when you have to have the phone, since there's an emergency or you need to be on call or whatever, put it at least on airplane mode, this is all lifestyle habits, like how you eat, how you live your life, like when do you shut the electronics off? What do you do the last thing before you go to bed? Maybe you need another meditation. Maybe you need to do another breath work. Maybe you need to do 2 or 3 stretches since you're super tight, your whole body is like in tension.
Yeah, that's a great way to kind of just relax and de-stress right before you go to bed.
Absolutely.
And and also like taking I highly recommend everyone take your free class and, get a series of classes and learn all of these techniques so you can do them on your own. Like I worked one-on-one with a Pilates instructor for probably like a year or two, and I learned so much about how to do Pilates correctly. And I don't need a teacher anymore,
Exactly.
and I really was able to perfect my techniques. And the same thing with yoga. You work like yourself with a really good teacher, you can really take those skills for the rest of your life and use them to your benefit. So I highly recommend everyone take Doris's class, dorisyogatherapy.com/Myers-Detox. And Doris, thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything we left out or any other things you want to, share with the audience?
I think, the only thing what I want to share with the audience is like, when somebody would work with me, I want to give them my tools and they will hopefully be life-changing for them. And that's what I did when I went through my, certain lifestyles what I had, where I recognized it's not healthy, not everything in life is, you don't need so many things, so many consuming things, what we are bombarded with or engaged through society, what a lot of people, we put so much pressure on ourselves since we say we need to have that car, we need to have that house, we need to have this and that, we need to go shopping, right? A big thing is like, oh, let's go shopping. Well, what do you think about like to change your life for a different lifestyle when you go in certain countries, what you and I did, where they were like last year, we both went to almost like third world countries, right? Where they had nothing and they were happy as can be. And it was so inspiring, right? To see these people, like, they have nothing. They have a smile on their face. They are there for their family, for their neighbors, for their community. And it's so isolating in our society now, in the Western society, that people really have to tune in, like, what is the essence of life? What do I want in my life, right? I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. Right there, we have it all figured out, right? That's all what we need.
Yes. Well, Doris, thanks so much for coming on the show. I love talking with you. I've known you for many years, and I'm glad we finally got to do a show and talk about your expertise on yoga therapy. So everyone go visit Doris at dorisyogatherapy.com/Myers-Detox. Sign up for the pre-class. You have nothing to lose. And everyone, thanks for tuning in every week to the Myers Detox podcast. I'm Dr. Wendy Myers, and it's just such a pleasure to bring you experts from around the world every week. I love doing this show and just really helping you giving you the tools that you need to dramatically improve your life. I know it can be tough when you're looking for answers, looking for resolutions to your health issues. There's so many rabbit holes to go down. And I feel like I've gone through a lot of that stuff in my life and really try to give you guys the experts to give you the answers you're looking for, because you deserve to feel good. So thanks for tuning in.
The Myers Detox podcast is created and hosted by Wendy Myers. This podcast is for information purposes only. Statements and views expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Wendy Myers and the producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. Individuals on this podcast may have direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.